All right, ready? All right, we're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Thank you so much. I would like to call the regular meeting of the Hazel Park Board of Education to order today, December 16th. Roll call, please. Here.
Hampton. Mr. Hempel.
Here.
Hammond.
Here.
Mrs. Hempel.
Here.
No.
Here.
Schlot. Here.
All right, I would like you to join us for the invocation. Pastor Barry David of Landmark Community Church is here. He'll deliver the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance will follow. So let's go ahead and rise.
Let us pray. Father, we're in a wonderful season of Advent. We thank you for giving the world's greatest gift possible, a Savior whose birth we will celebrate next week. Through him you give peace, mercy, and grace. Thank you for bringing us down through another year. We are grateful for your help. Thank you for our leadership team, for our administrators, led by our superintendent, our Board of Education, and our scholars of the schoolhouse, our corps of teachers. For tonight, give in every discussion wisdom, and in every decision bless this time together. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
So, my household said.
Your kids have the pledge too? Okay.
Yeah, well, they would like to lead the pledge, and then they have their own pledge.
Okay,
So
great.
can I have you guys stand up and take 2 steps forward, please? Can I have my box behind? Thank you. The flag's over there, guys. Ready? Whenever you're ready. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
say it up there. And now for our sword pledge.
And now for a flag. As eagles we aim for the sky, using safety as we fly by. We do our best on tasks we stay, in school to learn all through the day. Respect will give us all great pride, and with wings of responsibility we ride. We soar to great heights, and why do we soar? Because we are the eagles, and we expect more.
All right.
Safe and healthy. On task. A. Always respectful. R. Responsible.
Yay! Thank you very much to the United Oaks Safe students that did that for us. Thank you. We've got a lot of people here, a lot going on. Let's go ahead and we need a motion to approve the agenda, please.
I move the Board of Education accept the agenda as written.
Second motion.
Any discussion? Roll call.
No.
Yes.
Mr. Hempel.
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel.
Yes.
Schlot.
Yes.
Edson.
Yes. We'll move on to special order of business. Our first one is the Hazel Park Promise Zone.
I'm Bill Hitchcock representing the Promise Zone, and I put a sheet on your, up there. You might want to look at it and
Got
keep
it.
it up to see what we're doing. I'd like to give a update of what's happening. We've had some very positive things happening in just this last year. Brandon, our staff person, is new on the staff, and he's helped us a great deal. He told me today he talked to a lady for an hour and a half on the phone from California. She's from this area, sent a $3,500 check, so we thank the Lord for that. I'd like just to talk about what's on this sheet, so to give you an update, and I want to give you some things that are happening in this semester, not something in the past, but it's going on right now. 83% of our senior class has already finished their financial aid completion. 65% of the seniors have one or more college appointments completed. 23 on-site college visits, so we've visited 23 different schools already this semester. 6 college field trips were completed in September. 25% of the senior class, we've had parents in helping us. This is the most we've ever had in the 7 years we've been working on this. It's finally getting to the point where a few more people are realizing what we can do. Our success program in 2019, 90 students enrolled in college. 88% are on track to return for the winter semester. That's what at least they're telling us. The students, I think the most significant thing, and I said that's when I was here last time, when we started 7 years ago, they were getting about $200,000 in scholarships. And this fall, the students who are in college amount to about $5.5 million. $5.5 million. And we have 3 students full to University of Michigan, 8 full-time paid going to Michigan State, and there are 26 different schools that we're participating in. Fundraising update, I just put a note on the bottom about Amazon. If anybody wants to put us on their smile list and check into Amazon, we get a little percent. So we're trying to do as many different things as we can. Anybody has any questions about the Promise Zone, I'll be more than try to help answer them.
Board, does have any questions?
When is your Promise Zone dinner?
March.
March?
We're trying to, hopefully we're going to have the governor in to speak at this. She was a state senator, and Ellen Lipton, who's on our board, was a state representative, and they worked together getting this Promise Zone approved in the legislature about 9-10 years ago. So she said she'll come if her schedule lets her, so we're hoping that that happens. So it'll be in March that we're looking to do that.
Sounds great. Thank you, sir.
The money just from over here at the racetrack buildings, we got our first installment, over $40,000 on the first building. Hopefully that'll double next year, and then they're talking about a building twice the size of both of those, so that should be upwards to $175,000, $200,000 a year. So we thank the good Lord for what's happening, and we feel like I think it's significant that the parents finally, we've had a real difficult time getting parents involved to help their kids. And that's now starting to happen. I just think the word has gotten around, and we're getting more parents coming in all the time looking to see what they can do, because they've heard other families that have gotten full rides or partial rides to college. One of the more significant things that we've added this year, we have a full-time staff person. We got a grant of $270,000 from the Balmer Group. He's originally from Detroit. He's come back spending a few $1 million in Detroit. We got $210,000. And our staff person is contacting all of the students the last 2 years in college, trying to help them. If they have a problem, we have excess money. We're trying to help any special needs that come up. So also we have over 50 mentoring programs going where people are mentoring here. We hope to increase this next spring to add probably 20, 30 more. So I think we're trying to attack this problem of when kids go to school, that first year is when we were getting wiped out. We found that kids weren't making it past the first year. So with somebody talking to them, our staff person has an office over in Oakland Community College in Royal Oak, where they give him a regular office. He's in there 2 or 3 times a week because that's where most of our students are. So Oakland Community College is working quite well with us, and because obviously we have quite a few students going there. So I just appreciate the support of the school board, and just wanted to update you on what we're attempting to do and the new programs that just this year has been implemented. So with the mentoring program and a staff person contacting this first year and second year students, I think it'll hopefully will keep more of them in school. When you got 80 to over 80% starting college, I think when I started there were about 3%, literally. So I think it's significant when I tell people that over 80% of the graduates from high school are going to college. I think that's very significant. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the update.
Thank you.
Good evening, Brandon Gleaton from the Hazel Park Promise, the program manager. I just wanted to circle back for the fundraising piece. If you already shop on Amazon, which if you're like me, I'm going to do it, as soon as I get home and on the couch watching TV. If you go on your computer, type in smile.amazon.com, you log in as you normally would. You have to go in and select Hazel Park Promise Zone Authority as your charity of choice, and then all your donations after your purchases after that, 0.5%. Anything that you purchase on Amazon that says Smile eligible will be donated to the Promise Zone. So once you go in there and select us, we'll get that. It's the same price as you normally would pay. Same 2-day Prime service, which is why I use it. So just do what you do, pay the same thing, and we'll receive 0.5%. So just want to clarify that.
All right, thank you, Brandon. All right, it's nice to have an update on Promise Zone. Hopefully we have some, future Promise Zone recipients here in the room with all these wonderful students here. So we're going to move on to item B, which is our robotics teams recognition. So we're going to go ahead and present, and Dr. Krippy will speak to it. I'm guessing you're going to shake hands.
So we're really excited to have all of the fantastic robotics, so come on out board, and if we could have each principal at a time, and I'm going to ask our junior high principal to start with us. Yes, come on, Mrs. Schultz, we all love you. Hold up your crazy Christmas sweater. So we'll take one principal at a time for their groups, but we were really excited. So 5 years ago when I started, we talked about one of our goals was to have robotics teams in our school, and so we've reached that goal as we've been able to add robotics into our school curriculum, as well as in our elementary level in our STEAM classes. So really thanks Stephanie Dolmage, you've been really able to add that program for us, and as we increase that, we're really trying to make sure that students are taking Project Lead the Way in our Amazon classes and really trying to build that lean program up at the high school, really giving students the opportunity and the edge to get into those computer-related and engineering-related fields, which we know are really important. So we're really excited to see the activities that are going on, and we only hope to continue to grow that. So Ms. Schultz, I'm going to have you come down here. I'm going to have you read the names, and I will hand out the certificates, and you'll get an opportunity to shake your fabulous students' hands.
I got to see them at competition. They were amazing. Oh, I didn't put my reading glasses on. Okay, I can see it though. That's okay. Oh, you want it in that order though? Okay, we have Eric Archambault, whose parents are our coaches, Tanya and Michael Archambault. He's coming up. Stephanie Borowitz. Melody Dunlop. I don't see Melody's not here. Evan Durnian. Evan here? No, he's not here. Monet Johnson. No. David Justice. You see David? No. Jeremiah Kemp. No Jeremiah. Corell McKenzie Jr. Is Corell here? I thought I saw Corell. No? All right. Antonio Ordway. No. Jonas Peck. No. Mina Roja Castillo. There she goes. Right here, Mina. All the way down the line. Not off that easy. Ethan Blevins. Autumn Jackson. Ethan. Charlie Jones. Good job. Here's your certificate. No, Charlie. Cadence Lambert. No. Caleb Nybo. No. Robert Shelton Jr. He's here. Gabriel Sturgill. Okay, here's your certificate. Nathaniel Taylor. Nathaniel. Harlem Williams. And Joseph Guy. He's here. Last but not least.
Mrs. Demas. Mrs. Demas. Hello. Hello. All right. Hello. Graham Becker. You're up here. All right, Trent Becker. I call them the Becker boys. Every morning. Oh yeah, they got everybody a little something. Farrah Cronk. Oh, she's not here. Fiona Cronk. Where's your twin? Huh? They're twins. I cannot tell them apart. Go all the way down, baby. All right. Natasha Greer. Now what you gonna do? All right, and then Aaron Moore. Come on up, last but not least. All right, congratulations to our fabulous Hoover team. And are we going to call up United Oaks now? Sure. Very proud of my mighty Eaglebots. And we have Allie Blunden. And our honorary third grader, Miss Aubrey Jackson, who has a sister in the middle school or junior high. There you go. Vincent Law. Ava Parkinson, who is not here, and she was supposed to play the part of the principal, so I'm really upset about that. Camilla Polanco Flores. First we shake, then we dab. And of course, brother Carlos Polanco Flores. Garrett Robinson, who is unable to be here, but you can clap for him.
Gracie Byers. And another Gracie, Gracie Hilterbrand. Or Helterbrand. Sorry, I know it's Helterbrand. Here you go. All right, this was our second competition this year, and they're going to share a little bit in a minute.
We can turn it right over, if that's okay, President Atkins. Right over to United Oaks and their presentation.
All right. So put your certificates down. We got to set the stage. Hang on. Come on up, in order. So we'll stand like
I saw you in
that.
the back. Oh, I hope she comes up here.
Everybody looks so cute with their sweaters on. Number one. See yourself, so it's cute.
All right, so you're one,
Am I two?
okay, you're second.
Okay, I'm just standing here. Okay, I'll play the principal. I get to play the principal.
I know, just the word say first.
Okay.
All right, so I'm Kim Forster. I am the coach of the Mighty Eaglebot Builders, the first Lego League from United Oaks. And I'm really proud of what my team was able to accomplish this year. A lot of people think of FIRST Robotics as strictly a robotics competition, but there's much more to it than that. And what these kids managed to do was bring home an award for research. And the research plays a part in the innovative project that they created. And they would like to present their innovative project to you tonight, and here they are to do that. Go ahead, guys.
Hi, we are the Mighty Eaglebot Builders from United Oaks Elementary School, from Hazel Park. My name
Good afternoon, United Oaks students. Due to the rain, we will be inside again for recess today.
No, not indoor recess again. We have to find a way to go outside with the weather. We need to get outside. The students brainstorm, talk, and research this equation. They come up with an idea and share it with their principal. We've done a lot of research and found out that kids really need to be outside. Experts say that outdoor recess should be a part of every child's daily schedule. Research shows that outdoor recess can help students improve their social skills and learn. We have a solution that could let us have outdoor recess even when it's rainy or cold. The miracle recess.
The miracle what?
The miracle recess covers.
What is it? Why would you want this? Don't you like indoor recess?
We took a survey and found out that over 85% of students would rather choose outdoor recess than indoor recess.
Sounds exciting. Tell me more.
Let us show you. The students share a prototype of the miracle recess cover with the principal. The miracle recess cover is made out of a material solid. It's waterproof to stay dry in rain and snow. It's also has vents to let this in. Its dome-shape is made from lightweight titanium plate. Its shape allows water to run off. It's windproof to protect from wind chill and garland to allow ventilation. With the miracle recess cover, we can run and play every day, rain or shine.
Sounds amazing. So here it is, and here I am with my microphone. And you just go ahead, you want to pull it over. And this is our playground. So OtterTech, titanium. Are we, have enough in the budget?
We might have to wait a few more years for the
Okay.
sinking fund.
I was just checking.
With a try.
We'll get it right on it.
Thank you. All right, next on our agenda is student representative updates. Is the Hazel Park High School representative Sarah Gajos here? I know we've had a full room, so I don't know if I saw her. Okay. Okay. Okay, and then, yeah, Stephen wasn't going to be able to make it for the Advantage, so hopefully we'll see them in the new year. So we will move on from special order business to public comment. If you would like to speak tonight, we'll need you to fill out a slip of paper on the counter and turn it in. I do have one so far, and I'm going to pause for just a minute as we let people kind of clear the room. So as we head into public comment, I'd like to read the following. The Hazel Park Board of Education values public meetings, not just meetings in public. We welcome public comment on school issues. Comments should be stated in 3 minutes, and the board respectfully asks that the comments remain focused on the topic or issue and not specific personnel. We welcome your comments but cannot discuss nor debate items on the agenda. When asked to discuss non-agenda items, we can share facts but not engage in discussion. We need to follow the Open Meetings Act regarding public notice on issues that do involve personnel or other community members. So I have a slip for Michael Vanderveer.
I'm Michael Vanderveer, 3321 Powell, Hazel Park, on behalf of the Hazel Park Creative Arts and the Community Engagement Team. We had the craft fair at Art and Craft Fair over at the high school a couple months ago. And today we'd like to present the check for the proceeds from that for the after-school programs of $1,650. We're happy to be able to do this for the kids after school. Also, we'd like to say that we're happy to have helped the robotics program when we were able to get the $5,000 grant last year to begin that. There's a lot of things that the school district cannot do and is not eligible for as far as grants are concerned, and that's where we come in as a 501c3. We are able to do that. So
That's awesome.
we've already turned the check in over there, so the real one.
Well, thank you. The real one. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it, and you're right. I mean, everyone pitching in and doing what they can helps this district get the things they need, and because we can't have everything we want, unfortunately. But that's fantastic, so thank you so much. Any board, I don't know if anybody has any other comments.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, was there anyone else wishing to speak? If not, we will move forward with the consent agenda. Can I get a motion, please?
Move the Board of Education to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second the motion.
Roll call.
No.
Yes.
Mr. Hempel?
Yes.
Hampton?
Yes.
Hammonds?
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
Atkins?
Yes. We have no unfinished business, so we will move on to new business, starting with personnel recommendations. So our personnel recommendations are broken up by union to accommodate some of our board conflicts, and we will start with the HPA Teachers Union. Can I get a motion, please?
Move the Board of Education accept the administration's recommendation for the HPEA employee group as presented.
Support.
Discussion? Roll call.
Black?
Yes.
Hammonds?
Yes.
Hampton?
Yes.
Mr. Hempel?
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Atkins?
Yes. Next union is the HPPA, the Paraprofessional Association. Can I get a motion, please?
I move the Board of Education accept the administration's recommendation for the HPPA employee group as presented.
Support.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Black?
Yes.
Hampton?
Yes.
Mr. Hempel?
Abstain due to conflict.
Hammonds?
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel?
Abstain due to familial conflict.
No.
Abstain due to familial conflict.
Atkins?
Yes. Item 3, IUOE, the Secretary Union. Can I get a motion, please?
I move the Board of Education accept the administration's recommendation for the IUOE employee group as presented.
Support. Discussion? Roll call.
Schrock,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Hinton,
Yes.
Mr. Hempel,
Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Mrs. Temple,
Yes.
Atkins.
Abstain due to familial conflict. Last one is for unaffiliated employees. Can I get a motion, please?
I move the Board of Education accept the recommendations for the unaffiliated employees as presented.
Support.
Any discussion?
Yes, I have two. One, we're really excited to see one of our staff members there who recently graduated and received their certificate. And I think another one, and we're really excited to see one of our retired teachers come back and substitute. So that's always an exciting thing for us in Hazel Park.
All right, roll call.
Schrock,
Yes.
Mr. Hempel,
Yes.
Hinton,
Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Mrs. Temple,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Atkins.
Yes. All right. Item A, next moving on to item B, which is our budget amendment. This is, the first part's informational, I guess, so Mr. Zernis, who has joined us with the festive sweaters, so.
Good evening, everyone.
Oh, he got the good chair, huh?
Is that yours? I think I need an adjustment after that.
It was not purposeful.
Oh, I think it was. Which is, Brad? Let me turn it on. Come on. You want to just advance this for me? There you go.
That works too.
Is that you, or is that me? All right, so just a really brief overview. From a revenue standpoint, it's been a really interesting year with the state not approving its budget until very, very late in the year. And currently, we've actually, there's discussion out there of another revision, and that has not been reflected yet in this budget. We're still waiting on final numbers. It sounds like it's going to have a positive impact on the district. But, you know, we are not going down that road until we actually see it in writing and it's approved. So, you know, there is some discussion about possible increase in 31A funding through some adjustments they've made. And there may be some additional monies in relation to MVCA because their foundation allowance will increase, which will then, you know, relate into some money for us as well. So from our standpoint right now, we've taken the budget as it is. We've taken a look at all our federal and state grants, all our other revenue, and we've moved forward from a projection standpoint, Brad. So again, with the significant changes that we've had this year, our loss in enrollment up to, I think it was 170 students, FTEs, not students. So that caused a decrease in our revenue from the original budget to the current amendment. There was an increase in some center fund transfers when we looked at some of the dollars that were going into the center fund. There was a revision there, and you know we were able to recoup some dollars through there. Federal grants have decreased. What these primarily are is a reduction in the allocation or the anticipated allocation from the original budget to today in Title I and a little bit in IDEA. There's some potential to get some of that dollars back. We're waiting to see where it all falls out, if there's more dollars left in the budget at the state level. Special education, there was an increase of $215,000 for 51F, and what that was a state recognizing that there was an underfunding in the special education, and they increased our percentage, and that's the amount that is allocated to us. And that's the general fund portion. There's a portion that goes over to the center program as well. And then our state and local grants, there were some changes. Again, it's just a multitude of all the other changes up and down. So where we were in the original budget, we were at $36,432,000 for revenue. Our proposed amendment drops to $35,130,000, a change of $1.3 million. But again, a large chunk of that is predicated on state aid reductions and the federal funding that kind of went down a little bit. Brad? In terms of the expenses, we went through, and again, we are now approximately 1/3 of the way through our school year.
So from the first third of the year, looking at positions within the district, there's a time when a lot of these, there's a significant number of positions that were unfilled, so there is some savings achieved. From our standpoint, we've looked at any unfilled position or vacancy has been projected to be filled as of January 1st. So the costs within this budget are, I'm going to say, a worst-case scenario in terms of salaries, because we're saying we're going to fill every position as of January 1st, which is probably not going to be the case. We are going to achieve some savings as we move forward month by month until we fill those positions or they remain unfilled, and we can, realize the potential savings when we do our amendment number 2 and final amendment in June. So there's approximately about $600,000 that we were injected into this budget based on our current position in expenses. We also reviewed services, supplies. Again, a lot of the items were what we based this on a 3-year average. So when we take a look at utilities, we take a look at supplies, we take a look at the 3-year average and take a look at where we are from that standpoint. When we do look at some of the other items in terms of instructional services, which we pay to the vendor schools, because they're state aid raised, we're seeing additional payments into those programs. But again, it's a relative term because the money's in and then the money's out. We also added some additional funding for new curriculum adoption. Whether that comes into fruition, we're still waiting. But we wanted to make sure we at least had something in the budget to account for that. Another item that we put in was early retirement costs. That might not. I think we added $280,000 for that. At this point in time, it's an estimate, and that's something we'll watch closely as retirements come in. And again, that's going to get trued up as we move, just like every other number. We're slowly going to get closer and closer to that real final budget number. But it's going to take time, and again, 2 more amendments to get there. So the way it sits right now, the great news is that we are still going to be projected to be out of deficit. We're projecting a surplus of $1,096,000. Our current deficit is $606,000, which will leave us with a projected ending fund balance of $489,000. And again, going through the numbers, we think this is, from our standpoint, like a worst-case scenario. We think that this is going to grow as we move through the year, and either maybe we have a light winter, maybe we don't spend certain monies, and again, so that's going to help us build that excess fund balance. And from my standpoint, I don't want to overshoot. I want to make sure that we're within reason and we slowly build towards that final number. Now, next steps, we need to be very diligent on our spending. I mean, as we approach, the end of the year, we just want to make sure that, what we're buying is needs, not wants. We're continually reviewing expenditures and, contract opportunities for cost savings. We need to monitor our grant expenditures, make sure that those dollars get spent. Because again, it's if we could spend it in the grants, it's better for us than spending it in general fund. And we need to continue to evaluate again into that second budget amendment and then onto the final budget amendment in June. And then just some positive things. Our state aid per student. We could see that we did get that $228, I believe, and so that's very positive news. We've got a great increase. Again, it's somewhat offset by the loss of students. Our enrollment trend, as you can see here, we've got another year where we're down. And hopefully with all the positive that we're putting out there through, marketing and everything else, that, we can present Hazel Park for what it is, a really, really good, successful district. Brad, and then just again, this is a graph we've kind of presented time and time again, just showing the relationship between the revenues and expenses. 2019, you can see the variance between the two lines, revenues being significantly higher than the expenses, and then again, they're slowly coming back together again, just with a multitude of with the ratification of the union contracts, with over $1 million being put back into our employees. That's where we get that closure between the revenues and expenses. But again, very positive. You know, we're going to be projected to be at a deficit, which is something the district hasn't experienced in a number of years. And then again, this is just our nice little click. So 2008, we were in deficit, and then 2020, we go above that baseline. So, and again, just final thoughts, we just need to be diligent, maintain our focus on cost containment. And again, there's many variables. Again, we're presenting this budget today, and we could have a ratification in a new school aid budget this week. So again, that's just going to throw a lot of things. And we'll use those numbers going into the Second Amendment, probably after our spring count, to see where we're going, where we are. But again, like I said, as soon as we adopt a budget, inevitably we see these things come through that change where we are in the game. So again, it's that constant review, constant update, and just being diligent that as we see things move, we move with them. So, any questions or concerns in terms of the budget?
It's 1,300,000 less than projected. So then you reduce line items to, because I'm like, how do we get 1,300,000 but our deficit is still going to be worked out? I'm not understanding that.
Well, essentially, if you look back to, so when you're referring to the state aid revenue?
Pardon me?
And when you say the $1.3 billion,
yeah, it's on that first, the 950,000 state aid reduction center. Yeah, that 1,301,000.
Right. So we have $1 million. So I think our original budget we had projected $1.6 million in additional revenues. Our original adopted budget had $1.6 million in surplus. We lose.
Oh, I see what he's saying.
Yeah, I think.
1.6. Yes, there's a decrease in revenue and a slight increase in expenses. But one of the other items is that the transfers in or the transfers out decreased by $400,000, and that's in relation to the tax dollars or the dollars that we don't need to go to fund our debt fund this year because the tax dollars were already there that were transferred the prior year. So there's again, it's a lot of ins and outs. It's.
I know, that's why I asked.
I think what it
I'm not used
is
to $1 million.
in June, the budget proposal was 36 million.
Yes.
So now he's revising it and saying we're going to start out this year with 35 million. So that's where you're getting the 1.3 million difference.
Right, but
So-
then how did we absorb
Well, if you
how
look
do
at-
we eliminate the 1.3? You
So
took
your
it out of somewhere.
expense. So if you wanted to look at it just high level, so you've got $1.3 million loss in revenue. Our expenses decreased essentially by $200,000. So essentially, our gap now from the surplus of $1.6 million went from $300,000. Our expenses decreased by $200,000. So now we're up to $500,000, and there's an additional $400,000 that's in the transfers out that disappear because we don't need to move that money over to the debt fund to make those debt payments. So $1.3 million down in revenue, $200,000 up in expenses, $400,000 up in expenses.
So can I make it kind of simpler than that?
Yes.
Those are all the line items for them as business officials. So in June, we're estimating salaries, we're estimating insurance, who's going to take single, who's going to take family, we're estimating payments on loans, we're estimating all kinds of items that we don't necessarily know. We look at what happened last year, we look at items such as that. When we get to this point in the year, our staff are in place. We know if they took single, we know if they took family, we know how much interest we're going to be charged on items, and all of that starts falling into place. So now we know a little closer the ins and outs. When it gets further into the year, we're going to know how much we spent on supplies. if we're going to actually need to fill all those positions. So then it's going to get even closer, and then we'll actually know what the state's going to give us. Because we project in June what we think we're going to get on our title grants based upon what they were the year before. And then they don't come in until the fall. And then we don't know again until January sometimes what extra money we're going to get. So what's awkward about Michigan funding is they're moving us back and forth on what we're getting all year long. And when you move positions in and out, you also don't know how much you're going to expend until each time you have to true up the lines, which is why we continue to refund. And so I understand why that is, but we just have to keep tweaking it as we go along and constantly talk to make sure that we're not over-expending items. And that's why we continue to amend the budget.
So when you propose the first budget, the estimated enrollment, I know that changes and fluctuates. So how many did you estimate that we wouldn't have?
I think at the initial budget, we had an enrollment loss of 40 students and a foundation increase of $100.
Okay,
So
right.
what happened is we lost additional students, but also gained $128 per student. So there was kind of a net, there was a net effect in there. And then, like I said, there's a lot of numbers, unfortunately, that go into it. And when you break it down, it's, yes, we did lose $1.3 million, but expenses decreased by $200,000 in total. And then our transfers kind of make up for a lot of the increase as well. So transfers in from center program and transfers out, it kind of nets back into that $1 million.
And Jason, right, and there's also other items that you have to have in there. For example, what happens if something breaks that's not covered into the sinking fund? What happens if there's more people that decide to retire? And so if we don't have that larger item in the budget line item, you have an issue. But if there's less, then there's that extra dollar. And if a teacher leaves and we hire a new one versus one that's had more money, then there's saved money as well. Or if somebody goes off insurance, there's a huge saving as well. All of those come into play and push and pull all year long.
Well, you're also, in the second proposal, it shows a better breakdown of where your 35 million come from the 36 million, where you show the other transfer increases by $1 million to help offset. So I understand how you got that.
Well, and we also receive grants throughout the year that we don't know if the state's going to continue with, like the instructional grant or the reading grant, and then those get put in the budget as well.
Thank you, Mr. Zernis.
Any other questions from the board? No. All right, thank you. All right, let's move on to C, and I need a motion to approve this budget amendment.
I move the Board of Education approve the Amendment 1 to the 2019-2020 General Fund budget as presented.
Support.
Any other discussion? All right, roll call.
No.
Yes.
Hammonds?
Yes.
Hinton?
Yes.
Mr. Hempel?
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel?
Yes.
Black? Yes. Atkins?
Yes. All right, moving on to item D for the security grant award. Can I get a motion, please?
I move the Board of Education approve the administration's recommendation for the Michigan State Police Security Grant Award as presented.
Support.
And discussion.
So we had a third party come in to do an assessment of the doors that we're identifying to have the key fobs that are similar to the Edison building. We went through the entire district and laid that out. Third party prepared it. We went out for bid. The third party, we used the third party so that they didn't have the ability to bid on it, so that they could maybe put in proprietary equipment or something that, so the bids came in very positive, at $170,000 for base plus the addendum. The grant itself is, I think it was $228,000, so there's some additional money left in there. Within the RFP itself, we did ask the vendors who bid on this project to give us a quoted door cost, so if they did come under budget, then we could add some doors, just to make sure, because when I talked to other individuals throughout Michigan who had done the same thing, their bids came in lower than expected, and we wanted to be able to have that lateral movement to add doors without having to do additional RFPs. Because again, we're under a tight time frame. As it is right now, the vendor that, we have gone with, Sonatrol, who just happened to be the vendor who did Edison, so they're familiar with the system itself already. They're in a really good position to service the district, and again, from our standpoint, we appreciate what they did. They did a very good job at Edison, and we're really looking forward to it. The best thing about it is their time frame for this is starting in January, and they're projected to be done by March, which is well ahead of the June or May 31st deadline.
So this is going to be key fobs for every building
Yep.
at all the doors? Or
This is going to be, I'm going to say, at all the main doors, we're going to get new doorbells and video access so that we can clearly see who's at the door. What it also does is it allows us to recore all the outside doors, so anybody who has old keys are not going to work. There's only going to be very select doors that are going to get keyed, and only select individuals are going to be controlled. So it's almost like we could restart from an exterior security standpoint, that who has card access. And again, from the beauty about this is card access. If someone leaves the district, we can go into the system and turn the card off, and then we don't have to worry about collecting that key back from the employee. And then the other thing about it is with the external keys that we currently are going to put into the doors, there are going to be very few of them out in the district. So it's going to limit the access of anybody who had previously worked here and had a key and didn't return.
No, it's great. I know that on the finance committee, we often talk about the recurring key expenses.
I was just going to say BD, but they don't do cards, do they?
Well, I'm not going to say Big D is going to disappear, because Big D also services the interior of the building as well. So I just bear with that, because you're still going to see Big D bills. But hey, they're a local company, we support our local businesses, right?
In all seriousness, I'm excited about this. This is great that we got grant funds to be able to make our doors more secure, particularly as employees leave the district, knowing that they won't have a key or anything. That's comforting to me. So I'm excited that we're able to do this. So, any other comments from the board or questions on this?
Will the emergency access work the same? That currently we have keys boxes by the doors? Are
Yes.
they going to be different?
So those will still be at those doors for emergency services, and again, our administration, and I think Greg and his maintenance staff will have those external keys. So if they do need to get into the building, you can still get into the building if the power is off. And again,
So the doors will be locked all the time at the schools. There's no open doors.
with this system, we do have the ability, if we wanted to, that during maybe 20 minutes before bell time, before and after school, the door could be open, as opposed to having people buzz in. But again, that's at the discretion of administration in the building.
So we could
Or
eventually
administration.
use these swipe cards as a punch card for people's times.
There is some cross integration. We would have to then purchase the additional software, I think, to integrate that into the system. But then you'd have to, require everybody to then badge out at the end of the day, which is good, because then we know who's in the building in case of any emergencies. And those are discussions that have yet to be had.
Nope, don't worry.
All right, thank you. Roll call.
Swank.
Yes.
Knowles.
Yes.
Hinton.
Yes.
Mr. Hempel.
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Mrs. Temple.
Yes.
Atkins.
Yes. All right, moving on to item E, food service projects. Can I get a motion on the STEAM table?
I move the Board of Education approve the administration's recommendation for the purchase of a steam table from Stafford Smith, Inc. as presented.
Support.
Discussion, Mr. Zernis.
So this steam table is for the Ford building here. When we did a brief survey in the spring, I believe, one of the complaints was that from the students was that the food after being prepared was cold by the time they received it. And what this is going to do is it's going to keep anything that we prepare at the beginning of the lunch stays warm throughout. And we're hoping that will then lead into additional meals being served, because the food is warm and better quality. as opposed to like a pizza that is cooked an hour ahead of time and then gets cold or something.
Okay. Any questions from the board? All right, roll call.
Schwank,
Yes.
Mr. Hempel,
Yes.
Hinton.
Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel,
Yes.
no,
Yes.
Atkins.
Yes. All right, item F, the Viking Virtual Academy. Can I get a motion, please?
I move the Board of Education approve the administration's request allowing the superintendent to enter into an agreement with the HPEA regarding the Viking Virtual Academy as presented.
Support.
Discussion. Dr. Creepy?
So the Viking virtual teachers, there's 2 of them, have been in the high school for the last 4 years. But before I came, that was part of the HPA unit because they did credit recovery during the day, and the HPA unit did it during the day. So for the last couple years, there's been a discussion on the table during my weekly meetings with Mrs. Sly to bring them back into the unit. And I had respectfully asked for that to wait till a time where we felt that financially there might have been a better time in order to do that. Given the fact of where we are financially, we entered into a conversation that this might be a good time to go ahead and do that. So we're respectfully requesting you to allow us to do that. These individuals would be on a different salary schedule that would only allow them to move to step 5 instead of, so they'd be the same salary, but only step 5. We have 2. One of them would be at a bachelor's plus 1 because they just got hired and just graduated. The other one would move to a master's plus 5, and that person has significant experience. So all other union items would remain the same. One of the things that's been difficult with them being outside the unit is that when they're absent, and you've seen some of those conversations going on outside, that we can't sub for them, or the high school doesn't sub for them in the rotation because they weren't part of the unit. So it's been ongoing. There's been grievances and other things in other school districts regarding this, and they've lost it in order to make them part of the union. So I really appreciated the time and effort that they gave us to kind of get ourselves in a different spot financially before we had this conversation.
Is this the Viking Virtual Academy that was run under the adult ed program?
It is.
And wasn't it that it would cost more money to pay the certified teacher, so they ran under adult ed for less money, so there's a pay increase now?
There is a pay increase now for them. One person will get about $1,200 more, and the other one will get more than that.
And
we did have difficulty hiring a teacher. It took us almost half a year to find a teacher.
Will it be overseen by the principal then? Because
it already is being overseen by the principal.
Already being?
Mm-hmm. And last year.
Yeah, okay.
And that was an issue as well. The counselors are doing scheduling, the principal's overseeing it, and that was a concern as well.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from the board? All right, roll call.
Schwank,
Yes.
Mr. Hempel,
Yes.
Hinton.
Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel,
Yes.
no,
Yes.
Atkins.
Yes. Moving on to item G, after-school support, paraprofessional support. Can I get a motion, please?
I move the Board of Education approve the administration's request for after-school parapros
have
support
to
for a late
abstain
pickup
from-
room at the elementary school.
Oh, you might have to abstain from this.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Okay,
Think
so
someone
I
else
can do
might.
that one. I move the Board of Education approve the administration's request for after-school paraprofessional support for a
Yes,
late
there's reading.
pickup room at the elementary schools as presented.
Thanks, Christy.
Girls, you're back.
Support.
Tie. All right, discussion. Dr.
R&D.
So we have been talking about this for some time collaboratively with our latchkey, with our secretaries, with our principals, with our paras, that we have a large issue with students being left after school by parents. And our latchkeys are full, and we can't, under the guidelines of Laura, we can't just take students and move them into latchkey. So that left us with another area of concern. And so we looked at it for quite a while, and Stephanie diligently reached out to Laura, looked at guidelines, looked at other areas, and what we're recommending is that we have 3 paras that stay after school on a daily basis for an hour, and that these paras grab the kids at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, it's the one time that secretaries and principals have that time to collaborate, talk about the day. And so that para would remove the students. The first time that it happened, the parents would be called with a warning that this is the one time that you get to leave your child after school. The second time, it would really be based on the principal's decision, based upon whether maybe there was an emergency or there's something difficult going on in the child's life. The third time, we would start charging those parents. After we got to 4:30, anytime, we would go ahead and call the police. We're hoping that this kind of intervention, and of course the first time we would hand them a note that said, here's what happens, here's the charging that's going to occur, and if it's till 4:30, this is what's going to happen in the future. We're really hoping to try to clear out our offices, let our secretaries complete their work at the end of the day, maybe be able to go home on time. It is really becoming a morale issue and a large stress inside the offices.
All right, so I have questions.
Yes.
How do you plan to enforce this and collect your money?
Well, we'll see how this works. It may be very difficult.
So you need 3 people for a trial and error?
Yep, for the year. For the year, and we'll see how it goes.
I can't vote on this, but I would be voting
It'll be
no.
Jason and Matt's issue to get the money.
Well, I don't even think that we should even, it's hard enough to get money now. You're not going to get the money unless you have a plan in place to enforce the money, and that's the only way that this would work, because other than that, you're just an after-school babysitter on top of latchkey.
But we already are. That's the problem. We are
Well, then
already.
we should have nipped it. We should tell the parents we shouldn't have to hire somebody to, stay with their kids. We should be tell them they're going to get the secretary wage pay for leaving their kid.
Well, unfortunately, without putting a plan in place, we're just leaving, and we've done that for some time. Principals have called and had conversations. This, unfortunately, is something that we have to put in place to get this off the secretaries and principals, and it's a plan, and we'll see how it works.
Doesn't sound like you really thought it through, though, with your plan, because your plan is, how do you collect your money?
Well, we will work on that the same way we do with Latchkey. We'll charge parents, we'll have the conversation, we'll have forms that we give to them. And you know what, just like we do with Latchkey, we will try to charge them and have a box where they have to submit the money, but it is difficult
And I
when
get it.
parents don't pay to get the money.
But we had the early childhood, and that people weren't paying that, and then we opened up free spaces, and I see the same thing happening here, that we suggest it, but then it turns into a free after-school babysitting.
Well, we didn't charge for early childhood or have to collect money, but we have been very successful with our Latchkey collection. Now that we have a box where they can collect, and we have the ability to collect in other manners. So we've been able to really be successful in how we're collecting. Can't say that it'll be perfect, but it's a way to try it and see if this helps alleviate things that are happening to our secretaries and our principals.
So how many children are left until 4:30? I think that's neglect. There's rules in life, that's a rule. We're enabling them to be able to stay there. What if we're going to pay somebody $10 for an hour and they come in 10 minutes, and so we're paying them? How many children are there until 4:30?
There was a lot there on half days. There's a lot of kids, especially on half days. But there are a lot of kids after school in the office.
I would suggest that maybe you listen to one of your principals about how difficult that time is. It is very difficult, and it depends on the day, and some of them are repeat offenders, and that's why you kind of give a cutoff about when you're going to call the police. But they're going to have to pay it for every 15 minutes, $10 for every 15 minutes.
So what are some of the reasons for repeat offenders?
They don't show up.
Well, do they have a broken car? Are they sick? What's the reason?
They're working, and until we call them, they'll say, oh yeah, we're leaving now. I mean,
We also have a secretary in here.
I was going to say, Colleen calls and calls and calls. And I go to the car and say, 310. And, we do everything we can. We've given them letters,
So that's not working, and
So-
that's going to be the first.
Right.
So this was a joint conversation between the principals and central office to try to come up with the next step, try to come up with a way to help alleviate our secretaries and our principals in the office that has minimal cost to our school district, that might come up with another way to hold parents accountable financially and help us to facilitate a change for our offices, because we hear this over and over again about our secretaries, and to try something new, because what we're doing right now is not working.
So this is not something Pathways for Potential, since they're so involved in truancy, that's not something they could handle?
They're involved in student truancy, not parent truancy. I mean,
I just think it's neglect when, I know that, maybe they probably are working, but I think.
I don't disagree. It's something, though, that every school deals with. And, if you were a different school district, they would just put your child in latchkey and charge you. We don't have that ability. Our latchkeys are full.
So on those half days when there's lots of kids, is that a violation of licensing? Because you may have a lot of extra kids on that half day.
Well, they don't have a licensing because it's an extension of the day, which is why we're doing it the way we're doing it, as a paraprofessional versus latchkey. We're not setting it up as latchkey. That's why we've looked at this very carefully. We're extending it as an extension of the day with a paraprofessional, and we'll be making those phone calls. We've been very thoughtful about the way we've gone about this to try to see how it'll work.
So I guess in your planning, was one of them like taking the parent, if the bill runs up very high, take them to court, like not
You'll
play
have
with
to take
it?
them to small claims court in order to get that money.
So is that part of the plan?
That'll be Jason's and Matt's job to go about doing that if that happens.
Because that should be part of the plan, that we do take you to court,
Well, as we talked about this in our group, in our personnel committee, we said we were going to pilot it and give some feedback to see how it goes. We're really trying to look for options. We're open for other options if we have some ideas about how to get parents to pick up their children after
I know
school.
when we talked about it in personnel committee, we really talked about, we had some of the same concerns that you're voicing, like with how we're going to collect the money, but also that it's a pain point right now for our principals and secretaries, and that we need to have some sort of way that we're hoping that a letter and the financial penalty and the cops are going to get called within an hour, that hopefully the people who are delinquent and haven't been, they know that now there's consequences. Right now the process hasn't been communicated, there really isn't one, and hopefully if we put one in place, and that it will help at least get us down to maybe 3 or 4 we're dealing with versus the understandings that we have many that we're dealing with.
I mean, it's been a consequence-free, issue for
But
so
maybe-
long now.
But maybe we should put the plan in place before we put the parapros, because if that's the plan, then 1, 2, 3, the third time the cop, then the cops start picking them up, then the parents say, oh, I gotta go to the police station, maybe I'll pick my kid up after school. I'm just saying, I mean, that's something you could do
That still
without
lays it-
hiring
Yeah, that
somebody.
still lays it on the principal and the secretary.
How are you going to inform the parents?
Well, we're going to first put it in their newsletters, and then the first time we'll hand them a piece of paper and have a conversation with them about what the new steps are. The building principals all have newsletters that go out. They do a great job of that.
I think it makes sense to pilot and try something
Yes.
because we know what's going on, it doesn't work, but I definitely would like to see the results of the pilot as to make a determination of whether this should continue next year and whether this needs to change at all. Because, I hear where Sue's coming from on the money collection, but I do think that the calling of the police after an hour is probably going to be the most effective of, okay, that's abandonment or whatever you want to say, because I do remember a time when my son was young that they did make that threat. I don't know if they ever did it or not, but that there was something that was communicated at that time, and that was a long time ago, and we just kind of moved away from it because I think it's all tough to enforce. Really, that's tough too. So
This is a really difficult one. It's not a popular decision to make, but we can keep some data and bring that back to you, give it to you in weekly updates or for each building to see how it's going. And it might not work. I think we're just going to have to continue to try to do things because we can't continue to put it on the offices.
With this pilot program, are you planning on paying the parapro for the end of the year? And let's say that one or two of the schools doesn't have any more of these after-school students. What do we do with that parapro? Because we still have to pay them to the end of the school year, correct?
They'll work in the office. There's plenty of things to do and help support.
That way, well, there goes your budget.
But I thought we had a shortage of parapros and we couldn't get parapros.
There's plenty in each building. So all you have is one in each building.
So we have parapros?
We have plenty of parapros in each of the 3 elementary buildings.
We're not doing anything for Advantage, just the 3?
For Advantage?
Yeah.
There's just one parapro at Advantage.
Right, but Or we're not having any issues with those kids getting picked up
No, that's not,
at the right time?
yeah, that's not a concern, because the elementaries are bused.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So
High school's happy to leave.
Forgot all about that.
So one parapro would get an additional hour? And it
Yes,
would
so
be the
there's in the
same-
letter, there's a cost factor for that.
So it'd be consistently the same parapro would get the hour?
Yes, yes. So it's $5,800, starting from January 6th to the end of the school year, and that's all in.
I mean, something we need to think about too is there's a soft cost of productivity loss with the secretaries and the principals doing this already, right? I mean, we're paying them their wages to deal with the group of kids rather than to deal with the, the tasks that they're supposed to be handling. So, I mean, we've probably already lost well over $5,800 this year with, Mrs. Patterson, Mrs. Gressley, our other principals working on this after school every day.
But I guess if you can call the cops after a half hour to come get them, they should have been doing that all along.
Well, I'm going to say that they're going to probably want us to give a little more time than a half hour to a parent. So we're talking
Well,
about
if a
an
parent
hour.
knows school gets out at 2 whatever, 3 o'clock, whatever, they should know their kid gets out at this time, I'm just saying, we're making it easier on the parents now, so, we want parents to participate in the kids' education, but at the same time, we're gonna make it a little bit more easier for you to leave them here. I'm just saying, that's my opinion on it.
Well, after 3 times, the cops get called.
That's 3 times, like, we should, if it's an issue now, we should have been
Well, no,
acting
it's
on
I
it.
thought it was 2 times. It was
Well, no,
in
it's
the
a-
morning and then the principal gets
No,
out
it's
to
a
the
letter.
letter.
It's 4:30
Well,
tonight,
no,
so they could get
Other
called
than that,
right
you're
away.
charged and paying for that person being
And they're
there.
paying for it.
I think it's each time they get called after 4:30.
Yes.
But it's the warning the first time, and then it's the discretion of the principal the second time, whether or not they want to charge them for it, but still the factor of the 4:30 is the automatic, they will be called either way. By the parapro or by, and what are they going to do, Ferndale's pretty
I mean,
strict.
I think Latchkey's full, and this is more expensive than Latchkey, right? I mean, it's not, I mean.
Latchkey is full. This is the same overtime charge that Latchkey charges.
Right.
The
So,
same fee.
as part of understanding whether this works or not, I would like to know, approximately how many are a problem right now? What is our kind of average number of where this happens? And then any improvement or lack of improvement thereon. So it'd be good to have some kind of general metrics on how many kids are at each building
Now.
are we seeing now as we get ready to start this.
So we're ready to start this after break though, right? That's
Yep.
our plan.
Yes, if you approve it.
Right. Any other questions, comments? All right, roll call.
Schlock,
Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Hinton,
I'm going to say yes, the discussion was good. The $5,800 is not a bad amount. I think that you give people an inch and they take a mile, so I hope the rules are held to. And it's not fair to the secretaries and the principals. I worked in schools. There's a ton of work after school. Kids need to go home. So I'm going to say yes, but I'd want the rules to be followed.
Like that.
Mr. Hempel,
Abstain due to conflict.
Mrs. Hempel,
Abstain due to familial conflict.
abstained due to familial conflict. Atkins.
Yes. All right, moving on to item H, media support technician. Can I get a motion, please?
Move the Board of Education approve the administration's request for a 1.0 media support technician at the Hazel Park Junior High as presented.
I second the motion.
Discussion.
So this is a change in the position, and we've consulted the union with this. Oftentimes in school districts where you have a one-on-one environment, your media person has a little more experience dealing with technology. So our suggestion is that as our media people at junior high and high school retire or move on, that we change that position to more of a media support technician with somebody that has a little more computer experience. So instead of that being in the union for a para, that would be a non-union position. That person would work 7.5 hours. They'd be paid $15 an hour, and they would have technology experience. So they would work in the media center, but they also would support the teachers within the buildings. I think that's really important. We only have 2 people that, well, 3, but 2 people that are in the buildings, and we've split up those positions fairly. But this person would ease the amount of times for the simple things that those individuals would have to go inside the building. So they'd still support the media center, but they would go in if a person's machine isn't working or the projector isn't working, that person inside the media center, that would be their duty to go in there. We have no intention, I want to make sure we say that, in removing Mrs. Smith from the high school in any way, shape, or form. It would be a natural transition. When and if that's her decision to move on long-term, then that's when we would look at that position. So for right now, the junior high person is retiring, so that's a natural transition to do something along those lines. So we don't want any long-term employee that we really care about that's been in a position for a long period of time. Just when it happens, then it's a good time to move and do that. This person could also send Chromebooks in, might be able to learn to do minor fixes that don't have to be done. So we really see this as a benefit to the team. You can see that the cost was included in the memo. For the remainder of the school year, it's about $4,500. And if you approve this, it would be $8,100 for the school year.
Any comments or questions from the board?
$8,100 a year for a $15 an hour job? Are you saying that's an increase?
No, that's the increase from where the position, because media people were level 1. It's your lowest paid position in the whole district.
Well, that's what I thought.
Yeah, that's why the increase is there, going from that to $15 an hour job with all the benefits included in. So that's the whole package again. So when, kindly when Jason and Matt do our positions for us, they don't just say, this is what it is an hourly, they add all the bennies in there for you.
So the total amount would be
Yes, it's the total
$8,100
amount.
for benefits and,
Right, so that you're looking at a true cost.
okay.
Any other questions? All right, roll call.
Hall,
Yes.
Mr. Hempel,
Yes.
Hinton.
Yes.
Hammonds,
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Atkins.
Yes. Moving on to item I, Professional Development Committee. Can I get a motion, please?
I move the Board of Education approve the administration's recommendation for a professional development committee for the 2021 school year as presented.
Support.
All right, discussion?
So the State Board of Education in the School Aid Act, unless they take it out here in the next couple weeks, and who knows what will happen, has now allowed us in the school calendar to allow full-day professional development. And so the Personnel Committee soon will meet with the union again and look at the school calendar for next year, which means we'll be able to reduce some of the half-days going forward if that's what we all agree to in negotiations. However, one other piece that they put in the State Aid Act, which we want to move forward on, is a professional development committee. And the requirement of that professional development committee was to look at having teachers and other staff members and administrators on this committee, and it's appointed by the board. So what our request is, and I talked with Nancy about this, I talked with our leadership teams, I talked with administrators. What our request is that we would request that you schedule our district leadership team that meets on Tuesday mornings that has parents, because we have teachers that are parents, it has administrators, it has teachers from each and every building, it has special educators on it, that we make that our professional development committee. They take things back to their buildings, we would take it to the unions, to the cabinet, and we would also bring information back to you. So since we have a natural team already, that we're asking you to appoint that committee to be our professional development committee for the district.
So is that leadership committee is the previous district network committee?
Yes, we now call it the district leadership team.
And will that still meet as early in the morning?
Yes, they have, they want it to meet at 6:45. We asked them if they wanted to change it to 3, and they do not. They would like it in the mornings.
And I wondered about parents. I have parents marked here. Do they come that early? Who do you have?
We actually have teachers that are parents on that committee. So we have Alicia Becker, who's a parent, or Alicia Becker, who's on that parent. We have Brad and his wife that are on that committee. And who else has a parent on that committee that has kids in the school?
Is it
It's teachers that are on that committee.
So they're basically
Okay.
doubling up and dueling
Okay.
that role where they're there as a teacher, but
As
they're
for
also a
professional
parent.
development choice.
It just seems so strange that the state would ask that a
Can't
parent.
be after professional development.
Yeah, that's.
And I think that's where a lot of school districts are saying that for parents to make suggestions for professional development tied to district improvement and school improvement teams. But we can invite more parents. We'd love to have parents on the district improvement plan.
Well, when I looked at that, I'm like, I don't know many that would come at that time, so I was curious who they are, because that's real dedication.
It's teachers.
Um,
They don't have time after school, right? That because they're going either to other jobs or they're going home to their children after school.
So the titles just changed from district network and building network to leadership teams and
Yes, they are.
this, okay.
Yes, they are.
Any other questions or concerns? No. All right. Roll call.
Schlack.
Yes.
Mr. Hempel.
Yes.
Hampton.
Yes.
Gammons.
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Adkins.
Yes. All right, moving on to item J, approval of open enrollment. Can I get a motion, please?
I move the Board of Education approve the administration recommendation to continue open enrollment for the 2021 school year as presented.
Support. Any discussion?
So we have to approve this every year. It's time for us to turn this into the ISD. We received something the other day to approve open enrollment. You can approve open enrollment to be just inside the county. You can approve open enrollment to be outside the county as it has been. You can limit the number of students by grade level. Our recommendation is you keep it as it is we're all fighting for students all over the place. There's been a decline in Oakland County as a whole. So I'd encourage you to continue to approve open enrollment.
Any discussion, any other?
Yeah, I would rather see open enrollment within the district so that we're taking care of Hazel Park families. I know that we need the students to generate money to have activities, but at the same time, this is Hazel Park. We have a promise zone. We want people to move to Hazel Park. We don't want them to leave Hazel Park. I think if we closed the borders and kept it strictly within Hazel Park, you would have more kids attending. The programs may not be what you want, but I think they will build, because when we were Hazel Park School District and we had school of choice within the district to go to this school and that school, we had fabulous schools. We had parent involvement, and I think that the open enrollment is what hurt our district.
The state says we have to have open enrollment.
Well, I think the open enrollment takes away the community feeling for sure. A lot of people here would like to see it be closed, and since we're on the edge that now is the time we have to do this, I would suggest that we have a committee, that we have some discussion about it, and for next time, because there are people out there that are really against it. I'd like more people to know and hear and get the rationale, so that's my suggestion, is we have a meeting, a community meeting before next year.
I like that.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think that changing any decision other than, continuing where we're at would require some discussion, because it would definitely have impacts. I guess my personal opinion, I think that we got into the open enrollment because of our deficit. I think that the state pushed really hard for that to happen, and with coming out of deficit, that does hopefully give us more control over some decisions. I do, have concerns about whether our enrollment would actually increase if we closed them, but I think it's worth discussion for sure. So.
Do you have a time frame that you guys would like to have that kind of conversation to begin?
Prior to next year.
Well,
with our busy schedule,
Are
it
you
in somewhere.
thinking April, or are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm thinking sometime in the spring.
Spring?
I was gonna say, we're having a workshop, just extend it.
Well, Bev wants to have it to where the community comes in and discusses on it, correct?
Yeah.
So it would probably be a series, like we would have to talk about it, and then we would need to set up
But
something
couldn't
in
we
the
turn a
community.
workshop into something like that? I mean, to me, that's important. I don't know what we have scheduled for the workshop, but I think that bumping whatever's on the workshop back to use our workshop as a, get it out there, to use it as a tool to
in January?
We're also going to have to go to make sure that we're available to hear different places and different satellites around the communities.
We need to
People aren't-
plan
Yeah. There's going to have to be a plan. I think spring would probably be the soonest.
Are you talking January? January is your
So you're tabling
superintendent
this, because
evaluation.
this is for 2021.
I think
No,
we need to
we
pass
have
this.
to-
I think we need to
yeah.
think
Have to
about,
pass it.
I think it would be a much bigger.
Can't
plan.
wait.
Be prolonging for the whole next year to talk about it.
I was just trying to get an idea what your thought was,
I
so we
think
have it on the
April,
calendar.
May, we might have to have 2 times or something, but spring, and I think tonight, because it's here, we just
Kill it.
do it. You know, vote the way you want to vote.
So perhaps may I make a suggestion that you have a couple people that you think about at the next board meeting, that you have a board committee of this, as you're thinking about your committees in January when you reorganize.
That's true. We do have to do
That
our
you
committees
have
in January, so.
That you have an
Maybe so.
enrollment committee, and you think about that as one of your focuses. And have a committee do that, and that committee runs that for the April, May meeting and organizes how they want to do that discussion.
Okay. Give that some thought and can definitely include some plans for that.
The other thing is I've been against this from the day one of being on the board, which is over 16 years. So my vote's still going to be a no matter what, because of the fact that that's my feeling also, is that we should support Hazel Park.
So the bigger part of when this committee gets going is for people at home who want to do this, is we really have to think about how we're going to get kids in our community come to our schools so that we don't lose the crucial programs we have in place.
Correct, I understand.
So you know, and then how we're going to support that going forward, because the last thing we want to do is closing down schools and laying off staff, which is what if we're not attracting from different areas, we'll have to think about where we're going to generate the
Well,
cost.
that's why we'd like to have the input of the
I think
community at the same time,
I think it's a fabulous idea, but for everyone at home who's thinking about different things and hearing those things, I think it's really important just to put that out there. And I think it's a fabulous idea to have a committee meeting and to think about it and to talk about it. Just want to put some of those real life things in everyone's thought process in mind as we go through
And I
it.
agree with you, but the school is not a business. This is an education place. It's not a business. It's not about students being dollar signs. I've been against a student being a dollar sign forever. It's an education, and the best education at what we have to work with.
I just think that school choice is the way of life in Michigan now, and I don't want it to be dollar signs either, but when the state passed that Proposal A, they changed the game because they've pitted school districts against each other. We're all competing for students. We're having to do marketing. We have to do all this stuff that it would be nice not to have to do, but I feel like it's part of making sure we're a viable district, and that's my concern, so.
In addition to opening charter schools and pushing for that and those things as well, I mean, just made the available places for kids to go larger and larger rather than sticking with your own community.
Right. No, I understand.
Okay, roll call.
Schlock,
Yes.
no.
Yes.
Hinton.
Yes.
Mr. Hempel,
No.
Hammonds,
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel,
No.
Atkins.
Yes. All right, moving on to item K, superintendent evaluation. Can I get a motion?
Move the Board of Education approve the 2019 superintendent evaluation as presented.
Support.
Any discussion?
I think, Amy, you've done a great job. I think that's reflected. I think there's still some areas that we can improve on as a district. But we are moving in the right direction, and we have come light years from where we were 5-6 years ago.
Yes.
And congratulations to everybody, and I think that thank you for your leadership.
Any other comments? I know you work tirelessly for this district, so Dr. Krupe, thank you for all the effort you've put in. We appreciate it. We know it's not easy, and we know we have lots of work to do, but I know that you work really hard, and I know that we're in capable hands. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Roll call.
No.
Yes.
Schlock,
Yes.
Hinton,
I think I should abstain. I wasn't part of it and don't know the rationale, so I didn't think I should vote.
Mr. Hempel,
Yes.
Hammonds,
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel,
Yes.
Atkins.
Yes. All right, moving on to item L. Oh, there was an informational item for a FOIA request that was done. Yep. We put them on here when they're here, so I assume there's nothing else we need to add on that?
No.
Okay, this was regarding some band information.
Do we know who it was from? Was it someone in the district?
I don't know who they are, and I didn't try to look it up. So they just wanted information about
Because they wanted the band, they wanted the...
cost of band
The
and...
syllabus, cost
Yeah.
of band, marching band, and
The rental
instrument.
fee.
Yeah.
Right.
So it
And so,
wasn't-
as we know, you cannot charge, when you're giving a credit for it for a class, you cannot charge except for like the clothes and things like that. So you have to be really careful. And remember, when I first came, we pulled off the band instructors and things because that we were charging for that. So I don't know if maybe they're from another district and they're trying to gather information. But you know, I re-looked at everything that they're doing, and it appears the boosters are still appropriately, you know, charging for the right items. So, you know, I don't think it's somebody that's in our group. The name did not look familiar. I think they're just gathering info.
All right, going to the superintendent update. You have a radio club?
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys are aware, but the Amateur Radio Club has been teaching classes in our building, and I had an opportunity to meet with them. And they're delightful men who have years of experience and incredible backgrounds, aerospace background, aerospace engineers background, some music industry background, just really delightful. They have taught classes in the surrounding areas and are willing to come into our schools to talk with our children about using amateur radios, but also they have been in other schools in the past talking with our astronauts and letting kids do that. They gave us free resources for our teachers to be able to go to camps. So I'm really excited to share that with our buildings. But they also gave a certificate of appreciation to our schools for being able to use our buildings. So I'm going to give that to our president.
It's really fancy.
Yes.
Yes.
If you, they offer those classes, so if you're ever interested, I can hook you up with them. And again, they were just a wonderful group of individuals that are really excited about what they do and passionate. So that was very enjoyable.
Great, thank you. Next is holiday.
The other day is holiday baskets. I'll speak, and I'll have Rosie speak as well. And I just tell you, holiday baskets were last weekend, and boy, we didn't think we were going to have enough cans, but we surely did. We had plenty of cans and hams, and what a beautiful activity. And we collected $7,837 between, there's a list of people that are in the board packet, between Jim and Colleen that are sitting out there, and Linda Sims, the high school, junior high staff, central office staff, United Oaks staff, Rosemary Hammonds, Sandra Hamilton, Cyrus Shank, Shirley Belinsky, Carol Sheldon, Michael Peoples, Kathleen Reyes, the Elevator Company. I hope I didn't miss anyone there.
Just the high school staff.
Yes, what a wonderful giving that we did, and it was just, as always, a wonderful time. I really want to thank my staff, administrators that came also on Friday and Saturday, and I heard that there were some wonderful individuals from Ferndale as well, and the City Hall that also came on Friday to help package. So it was just, again, a wonderful community event. Rosie, I don't want to leave you off from not being able to say something.
That's okay. I just want to thank everybody. It was definitely an adventure. Everybody worked well. We had several men that lifted all the heavy stuff, brought it down. The ladies came, sorted it all out, put it in sections. Brad was there and helped, and Matt and Jason and Tam, and Ed. Everybody that worked hard, and we appreciate everybody. And thank you.
That's, again, another thing that's great about being in Hazel Park, is just the giving that happens all over. So thank you.
All right, thank you. With that, we can move to board member and administration comments. Can we start with Michelle?
Well, I just want to say, hope everyone has a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and happy whatever other holiday you might participate in. I'm so glad to see the kids out here again tonight. This is a great thing to see, especially leading right into break. We have 4 more days, guys, so we can make it through. And that's about it. We'll see you next year.
Can we get this smile at Amazon.com put on our cable station?
Great idea.
For a while, or in Comcast, whoever. I think we have both.
On the cable channel?
Yeah, get that on there because I use Amazon and, yeah, if we can make money off them, I think everyone would probably help out with that. It was good seeing the robotics team, like she said. You know, they're doing, the little kids are doing, I don't even know the word for it. I was watching the little girl fix the elevator that in the Lego area because somebody made it too tight, but it was great. Just like I'm like over her shoulder, like, what are you doing? But yeah, very smart kids. I'm proud that they're our kids. I would like to maybe for one of our workshops discuss meetings of the whole. I know that nobody here wants to, but if we have them, I don't think every board member has to attend it if they don't choose to, but I think it should be an option for board members to be part of all the committees. And other than that, everyone have a Merry Christmas and be safe for the new year, and we'll see you when school's back in.
Mrs. Knoll? Yeah, I mean, it's always great to see the kids, and I think that they're working on great things, and we're happy that we're able to support those after-school activities and programs for our kiddos. It's been a fabulous year. I think we have a lot to celebrate as a school district. I just want to encourage people to be proactive and positive and coming and thinking outside of the box and being constructive with their criticism. Everyone I think here comes every single day trying to do their very, very best by our children, and I think that if you keep that in mind when you're giving your constructive feedback, then you can get a lot more with honey than you can with vinegar. So I'd like to remind everybody just to be kind with your words. Thank you, Sue, for your wonderful idea of having us all with our ugly sweaters. This was Sue's idea. This is why we're here. And thank you, administrators who participated. It's a lot of fun. I was happy I get to wear my sloth sweater twice this year. I'd also like to leave us with a poem by Edward Guest. It's a Christmas poem. It says, "A man is at his finest towards the finish of the year. He is almost what he should be when the season is here. Then he's thinking more of others than he thought in the months before, and the laughter of his children is a joy worth toiling for. He is less a selfish creature than at any other time. When the Christmas spirit rules him, he becomes close to being sublime." So just remember that this is a magical time of year. Be refreshed and rejuvenated with your friends and your family. And from my family to yours, I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you.
Dr. Kirby?
Well, we have a lot of wonderful things that are happening this week. So tomorrow is the United Oaks Winter Concert, and so that's very, very exciting. I hope that people will attend. We have the high school winter choir concert on Wednesday night. And then Thursday night, the Hoover has their musical concert. We also, on Thursday night, the museum is open from 5 until 8. And my husband and I donated 1,300 locks to the school system and also to the museum. And also our Hazel Park Creative Arts donated all the paints, and so we are inviting the community. 300 locks are sitting at the museum. If anyone wants to come and paint locks and put them on the Hope sculpture, and this is also to bring hope during this wonderful season as we continue to this wonderful place in Hazel Park. It's great to see Jimmy and Colleen out there. Jimmy, we miss you up here with us. And Faith, it is great to see you. I love hearing about the wonderful students that have spent their freshman year and really doing well. And so that's incredible to hear about our graduates. And great to hear some of our graduates graduating from college mid-year as well, as Morgan graduated from Wayne State. So, we have some wonderful things happening in Hazel Park. Wish you all a Merry Christmas. Hazel Park has a lot of work yet to do. We're really excited about our finances, and we are laser focused on our student achievement and continuing to move our students forward. So thank you for all your support and all the hard work, and thank you to my administrators. They're absolutely amazing, and our fabulous teachers that continue to work so hard here in Hazel Park.
I just want to say that what we do for the kids. Sometimes we forget that, but that's our job, is what we do for the kids. And I wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Wish everyone a Happy New Year and a Merry Christmas. Sorry. And I think me and Laura won the contest because
I didn't know that I'd ever be able to say that I wore the same sweater as Chuck, so.
just the same. Throwing it out there. Have a good night.
We have the same ugly taste.
You're my son, I'm just gonna say. All right, go ahead.
That was dangerous to have you right between them.
Hurt my feelings.
Attended the Jardin Thanksgiving lunch, was delicious. I forget, 80 pounds of turkey, I think they said they cooked. And it was authentic, dressing, everything. It was very nice, and students came up, introduced themselves, cleared away our dirty utensils, and it was a very nice time. Went to the senior citizen concert, another fantastic thing. Would have liked to had better attendance, but those who came couldn't say they didn't have a good time, that's for sure. It was very nice. And just want to mention, Jack Scott passed away. He graduated from Hazel Park High. He was a singer back in the 50s, but he was still singing at 83, and he had a massive heart attack. So just want to mention him. He did a couple concerts here for fundraising. I believe it was for Promise Zone when it started. So anyways, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy Holidays for anybody that I missed in there. Oh, and this was really, really cute.
Yes.
The kids were great.
Yes.
This is wonderful reminders going on my tree.
All right. Okay, so I've attended some of the end of the Christmas concerts, and I know we had a Hazel Park dance competition a few weekends ago, and the senior concert, and everything's been great this time of year. Very enjoyable. The workshops for next year, we're going to work to get those on your calendar. We've talked about a few topics tonight, but we really haven't scheduled the most of them, so that'll be coming. Our PR person, Kristen, has requested our biographies and the picture approval, so if you haven't gotten to her, if you could give her a shout. She's happy to interview over the phone if you don't want to respond via email, but I know she's trying to get information on the board together to help get out on the website and have at hand. Enjoyed the robotics tonight. They were fantastic, so it's fun to see some of the demonstrations, and happy holidays to everyone. Thank you everyone for all the staff and administration and the board for how hard we work to keep this school district moving, and those of you that stuck with us all the way to the end. Appreciate it. So with that,
Motion to adjourn.
thank you.
Guys, we're gonna.